up the Fever. I think what I've learned in my WNBA experience is pace of play trumps physicality, it trumps size, it can trump experience, because a lot of times when you're experienced, it's really like code word for your veteran.
Caitlin Clark's haters are getting louder, but guess what they're all going to lose? From WNBA veterans to former legends, some just can't handle the fact that the league is shifting, and Clark is at the center of it. But while they throw shade, players are lining up to join her in Indiana, chasing the exposure, success, and legacy she's bringing to the game. Today, we're breaking down why the so-called avoid Indiana narrative is crumbling, and why the biggest stars might soon regret doubting Clark's impact. Sue Bird isn't just a legend, she's a mastermind. A four-time WNBA champion with an unmatched basketball IQ, her words carry weight. So when she speaks on a team's potential, it's not just casual praise, it's a calculated analysis. And recently, Bird has been making waves with her take on the Indiana Fever. But what's the real message behind her words? And why are some people trying to twist it into something it's not? The WNBA is buzzing with talk of the Indiana Fever. Some are calling them early title contenders, hyping up their roster as if they've already secured a championship. But Bird, she's not buying into the media frenzy. Instead, she's acknowledging the team's raw talent while shutting down the exaggerated expectation. To her, the Fever isn't some overnight sensation, it's a project in the making. So why is the narrative being spun differently? Bird sees something in this team that others don't. She's watching the chemistry, the strategy, the long-term build. Unlike the social media echo chamber pushing the idea that Indiana is an immediate powerhouse, Bird is dissecting their potential with precision. She's not hyping them up for clicks, she's laying out a blueprint for their success. But some critics are twisting her words, painting her as either a blind supporter or a secret skeptic. Why? Because Bird's perspective disrupts the narrative the league wants to sell.
This isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right?
Hoops legend Cheryl Swoopes.
Let's be real, there's a reason the media is pushing the Indiana Fever as instant contenders. It's good for ratings, good for ticket sales, and good for business. But Bird's honesty? That threatens the illusion. She's calling for patience, for real development, for a team that doesn't just make headlines but actually wins when it counts. And yet, those who profit from the hype are working overtime to drown out her message. Why? Because the truth doesn't sell as well as the fantasy. Simple question, is Sue Bird exposing the WNBA's obsession with manufactured hype? She's not bashing the Fever, far from it. She's offering a reality check, one that fans and analysts should take seriously. But instead of appreciating her insight, some are twisting it, making it seem like she's either discrediting Indiana or blindly backing them. The truth? Bird is doing what she's always done, cutting through the noise with pure basketball intelligence. And if that's making people uncomfortable, maybe it's time to ask why. Because in the end, when a mind like Sue Bird speaks, you either listen or get left behind.
Caitlin continuing to impress, and she's going to break records nonstop for the next couple years. Yeah. It's just going to be a constant record break.
Cheryl Swoopes is a WNBA icon, no doubt about that. But even legends can miss the mark. And this time, she missed badly. When she claimed that nobody wants to play in Indiana, it wasn't just an opinion, it was a complete misunderstanding of what's actually happening. The Fever isn't some struggling franchise begging for relevance. It's a team on the rise, methodically rebuilding into a destination squad. And the facts prove it. The biggest mistake in Swoopes' take? Acting like the Fever only became relevant because of Caitlin Clark. Yes, Clark is a generational talent, but Indiana's transformation was already in motion. They've been stacking young talent, making smart moves in free agency, and laying the groundwork for sustained success. Pretending this is all about one player ignores the work that's been happening behind the scene. If nobody wanted to play in Indiana, why are veterans and rising stars making their way there? This isn't a franchise being forced on players, it's a team they're actively picking. Players recognize what's being built, and they want in. The Fever's front office isn't just relying on the draft. They're making strategic moves to turn Indiana into a serious contender, and the results speak for themselves.
The reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that. Like, it's not just because of one person. A lot of us have done so much for this game, and Kennedy has been here before, obviously, but there are so many great players in this league that have deserved this for a really, really long time.
Let's be honest, some WNBA veterans and even players like Angel Reese struggle with how the league is evolving. Swoopes' comment reflects an outdated mindset, one that refuses to acknowledge the shift happening in Indiana. The old guard might see the Fever as an afterthought, but the reality is different. The league's landscape is changing, and Indiana is no longer a team players avoid, it's a team players seek out. Cheryl Swoopes built a legacy on being one of the greatest, but even greats can be wrong. Indiana isn't some basketball wasteland. It's a team that's been making all the right moves. And if the Fever goes on to dominate in the coming years, Swoopes' take won't just be outdated, it'll be outright embarrassing. Because while some cling to the past, Indiana is building the future. And that's a reality no one can ignore. For years, the Indiana Fever were overlooked, written off as a struggling franchise. But that narrative is dead. Indiana didn't just land Caitlin Clark. They built an entire squad capable of dominating. This wasn't luck. This was strategy. And the pieces they've assembled prove they're no longer a team to ignore. Before Caitlin Clark even entered the picture, Aaliyah Boston was already cementing herself as the foundation of Indiana's rebuild. She's a force in the paint, an elite defender, and a future superstar. A franchise big like Boston is rare, and Indiana locked her in early. If you think Indiana's rise is just about Clark, you're missing half the story.
Yeah. But everybody, that's why you had to pick Caitlin up full court.
Yeah.
This is why.
This is why.
The numbers she's putting up now, like, this
Y'all
is
stopped,
why.
and now she broke the record.
Yeah, everyone was like mad about it. I was like, I don't get it. That would be like, I don't even know what it would be like.
Yeah.
It'd be like letting Kevin Durant shoot pull-ups all day. It's like, no.
Mitchell has quietly been one of the most dangerous scorers in the league, but now she's finally getting the recognition she deserves. Pairing her shooting and speed with Clark's passing, that's a backcourt nightmare for opponents. This isn't just a good duo, it's potentially lethal. Indiana didn't just bet on youth. They brought in DeWanna Bonner, a proven winner, a matchup nightmare, and a player with deep playoff experience. Then there's Natasha Howard, a defensive force who knows what it takes to win championships. Sophie Cunningham adds toughness and attitude. These aren't random pickups. They're calculated moves to turn Indiana into a serious threat. Sydney Colson brings leadership. Lexi Hull is an underrated glue player. This team isn't a collection of names. It's a carefully built roster designed to compete right now. The Fever aren't just hoping to be relevant. They've made themselves impossible to ignore. Players aren't avoiding Indiana anymore. They're choosing it. For anyone still doubting Indiana, the season ahead will be a wake-up call. This isn't the same franchise that struggled for years. With elite young talent, veteran leadership, and a front office making all the right moves, the Fever have gone from an afterthought to a problem for the rest of the league. And the scariest part? They're just getting started.
I have no issues with Caitlin. Her breaking the record, I think obviously is a tremendous accomplishment. But I think what Caitlin has done for not just college basketball, but for women.
Caitlin Clark isn't just another rookie. She's a revolution. The WNBA has never seen a player enter the league with this much hype, this much skill, and this much power to change the game overnight. She isn't just a scorer. She's an unstoppable force reshaping how the game is played, how teams are built, and how fans engage with the league. And if you think this is just about points on the scoreboard, you're missing the bigger picture. Clark sees things before they happen. Her court vision isn't just good, it's generational. She doesn't just make passes, she creates plays that shouldn't even be possible. Defenders collapse on her, thinking they have her trapped, and then, boom, a perfect dime to a wide-open teammate. She elevates everyone around her. Indiana didn't just draft a scorer, they drafted a player who makes her entire team better the moment she steps on the court. Caitlin Clark's range is absurd. She pulls up from a logo like it's a free throw, and defenses have no choice but to respect it. But here's the problem. When defenders step out that far, they open up the floor for everyone else. It's a ripple effect. With Clark stretching defenses beyond their limits, driving lanes appear, shooters get cleaner looks, and opponents are left scrambling. This isn't just an offensive boost, it's a total game shift.
Men's basketball, period, I think has been great. The following, people watching the game, sellouts that we haven't seen ever.
Let's be real, records are going to crumble. Clark isn't just capable of breaking them. She's on pace to rewrite the WNBA record books entirely. Most three-pointers, most assists in a rookie season, highest scoring game. If those aren't shattered in year one, they will be soon. The league has never had a player quite like her, and history is about to reflect that. If you think Clark's impact stops at basketball, think again. She isn't just changing the game, she's changing the entire league. Ticket sales? Through the roof. Indiana Fever games that used to be overlooked, now must-watch events. National TV slots? Increasing by the week. The WNBA's popularity is skyrocketing, and Clark is the driving force behind it. Love her or hate her, you can't ignore her. Here's the undeniable truth. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player, she's a brand. Her jersey sales are breaking records, and we're not just talking about Indiana fans. People across the country, whether they support the Fever or not, are buying her jersey. This level of star power hasn't been seen in the WNBA before. She's not just growing growing her own legacy. She's expanding the league's reach in ways no one predicted. Clark's arrival isn't just about what she does on the court. It's about what she represents, a new era, a new energy, and a new level of competition. The league has spent years fighting for more attention, more respect, and more fans. Now, the spotlight is here. The question isn't whether Caitlin Clark will live up to the hype. The real question is, can the WNBA handle the storm she's bringing?
So, for people to come at me and say that I made those comments because I'm a racist, like, first of all, black people can't be racist, but, like, that's the farthest thing from my mind.
There's been a lot of talk about whether WNBA stars actually want to play alongside Caitlin Clark. Some claim veterans are avoiding Indiana, but reality tells a different story. Players aren't dodging the fever, they're lining up for the opportunity. And the reason why should have the rest of the league worried. Let's be real, playing with Clark means instant national attention, more primetime game, more headline, more eyes on every play. The Fever went from a team barely covered to a must-watch sensation overnight. That kind of exposure isn't just good for the league, it's game-changing for players looking to boost their brand, secure endorsements, and solidify their legacy. Indiana isn't just a media hype train, they're building a squad that can win. With Aaliyah Boston dominating the paint, Kelsey Mitchell lighting up the scoreboard, and now Clark orchestrating the offense, this team has the pieces to compete. Free agents aren't running from that, they're running toward it. Because who doesn't want a shot at a deep playoff run? WNBA salaries are what they are, but the real money comes from endorsements and visibility. And nobody in the league right now moves the needle like Clark. She's already shifting ticket sales, jersey revenue, and TV rating. Free agents understand the business. Playing with Clark means more opportunities off the court, too. The Fever aren't just lucky to have Clark, they're building something bigger. With a strong young core, veteran leadership, and a front office making smart moves, Indiana isn't a place players tolerate, it's a place they want to be. And the rest of the WNBA is starting to realize the movement is shifting, and fast. Indiana isn't just another team in the WNBA, they're becoming a powerhouse. And with Clark at the center of it all, the Fever's rise is only just beginning. For years, the power dynamic in the WNBA was controlled by a select few. But with Caitlin Clark entering the league, the landscape is changing. And let's be honest, some players are feeling the heat. They won't admit it outright, but their actions, they tell a different story. The attention is shifting, and instead of embracing the evolution of the game, some are clinging to the past, trying to resist the inevitable.
You want to see more WNBA people saying this, and it's just so obvious. I think we have to understand that when one player eats, we're all eating, and we all get more opportunities. It just opens it up for everyone.
Aya Wilson is a dominant force in the WNBA, no doubt about it. But when Clark stepped into the spotlight, something changed. The league's attention started shifting, and suddenly, Wilson found herself sharing a stage she once owned. Instead of welcoming the new era, she's been subtly throwing shade, liking tweets, dropping cryptic posts, and making comments that all point to one thing. She's not happy about the new face of the WNBA. This isn't just about basketball, it's about control. For years, Wilson and the Aces enjoyed being the center of attention. Now, every Fever game is must-watch TV. Every move Clark makes is analyzed, discussed, and celebrated. Wilson might not say it directly, but her actions scream one thing. She feels the shift, and she doesn't like it. Angel Reese built her brand on the rivalry with Clark. She thrived on it in college, using every opportunity to fuel the fire. But here's the problem, Clark has moved on. She's focused on winning, leading Indiana, and changing the game. Meanwhile, Reese is still trying to keep the feud alive. The constant jab, the subtle digs, it's all becoming repetitive. Clark isn't engaging, and that's what makes it even worse for Reese. A rivalry only works when both sides participate, and right now, it's looking more like Reese is chasing a ghost. The WNBA isn't about personal battles, it's about results. And while Clark is helping elevate an entire franchise, Reese is stuck playing a game that Clark has already outgrown. Cheryl Swoopes made headlines claiming that veterans wouldn't want to play with Clark. She insisted that established stars would avoid Indiana. But reality hit fast, and it hit hard, because the exact opposite is happening. Players aren't avoiding Indiana, they're signing up. The Fever are becoming a free agency hotspot. More TV exposure, a real playoff contender, and the opportunity to play with the most talked about player in the sport, that's an easy sell. Swoopes' claim didn't just age poorly, it was completely debunked before the season even started. The truth is, Clark is good for business. She's good for the league. And as much as some may want to resist, the facts are undeniable. The WNBA is changing, and Clark is leading the charge. The WNBA is evolving, and Caitlin Clark is at the center of it. The old guard can resist all they want, but But the numbers, the signings, and the attention don't lie. Clark isn't just another rookie, she's a movement. And the ones who refuse to accept that, they're the ones who are losing. The question isn't whether Clark will take over, it's whether her biggest critics will finally admit it before it's too late. As Caitlin Clark continues to prove her doubters wrong, the league is being forced to adjust to her dominance. The so-called haters will only get louder as her influence grows. But one thing's for sure, Clark is here to stay. If you want to keep up with the unstoppable rise of Caitlin Clark and see how the WNBA is changing, hit that subscribe button now. You won't want to miss what's coming next.